ignorance is bliss. That is a concept I find myself coming back to like over and over again because if you don't fully comprehend something, how can that lack of information ever hurt you? And this could be either good or bad depending on the context, but generally, the more I think about it, lack of knowledge on a subject, person, or event in a strange way leads to a cleaner and even more happy lens on it. Not knowing the bad that's also intertwined with the things that we romanticize gives us a sense of freedom we don't even consciously realize, which is interesting to me. Because, like, let me give you a real world example that we've all experienced. So, let's say that you're getting to know somebody, right? Like, it's a romantic interest that you have for this person and you're getting to know them. And this would be considered like the honeymoon phase, the phase where like you don't fully know everything that comes from this person, but you're just so head over heels that everything is beautiful to you. Like you don't see any of the red flags yet. You don't see anything like that in the future will pose a threat. And it's within this phase that I see so much beauty because it is almost like we have this veil that's over our eyes in such a way that a person or a thing can't even do us any wrong. But as time goes on and these occupations or relationships develop, we start to see those cracks start to form. That girl that you were talking to, turns out that there's some information that you completely overlooked that if you had going into that relationship, you would not have had that honeymoon phase or even started taking them seriously in the first place if you had known that. Or if you find yourself in an occupation or situation, there might have been some crucial info as well that would have completely changed your perception going into it if you were like really happy going into it. But it is within that phase, that period of time before you know the bad or everything that comes with this thing, there is so much bliss because in that moment, even though it's so fleeting, I feel like those moments before we know the reality that comes with what we're getting ourselves into, there is so much nostalgia, there is so much feeling there because you're able to be happy and love and feel so many emotions freely because to you, you have that veil, you have that illusion of near perfection. And even though this may be considered delusion, which I feel like 100% is, because you don't even fully know, it's almost like a facade. But it's almost like sometimes we want to delude ourselves. Sometimes we want to sit in feelings that we know are just temporary. Well, I mean, all feelings are temporary, but sometimes we want to sit in those moments before we could fully grasp the pros and the cons and just sit in just the pros that we could see with these two eyes. It's like we want to sit in that for as long as we can. And then when reality comes knocking in, when you finally gain the context to see fully, then it's like that innocence gets completely stripped. And when that innocence gets stripped, you can never look at it the same again. Whatever that thing was that you felt that bliss for, now that you fully have that lens clean and you can see it, it's almost like, yes, you could almost feel like you could look back on those memories and feel some of those feelings, but they almost feel tainted in a way. And I relate this to a lot of childhood. I relate this to a lot of past experiences I've had with people. So this kind of really resonates with me because ignorance is bliss, like I said in the beginning, is a concept that I always find myself coming back to because I find myself so drawn to that period in our lives, whatever moment it may have been, where you were able to love blindly, appreciate carelessly, or get into some trouble without knowing the full extent of what you were doing because you're so ignorant that you can't even comprehend like the possible consequences. And it's that freedom that is so tied to just having such a simple lack of knowledge that I think it's so beautiful we get to experience that because those moments are going to be with us forever. The moments when you saw things in such a innocent one direction way that there was no other way to view it. Because in our minds we're always going to associate those moments with when we were able to be free. And sometimes I often feel like I've lost that because since I've gone on my spiritual journey, a part of being like in spirituality is this sense of consciousness that you have and you carry with you. Not trying to be a know-it-all, that's not what it is, but it is that you're so utterly aware of your surroundings and more than anything of you and of your spirit that you can't be blind anymore. You can't have a sense of freedom that is completely unlimited. Because I've gotten to a point now where I've gotten older that like I'm just so aware of so many things that I feel like I can't have my ignorance is bliss moment again. And I think about that because I also feel like at my age I've grown up really fast. And because of that, like I can't comfortably go out and go fuck around or put myself in like low vibrational relationships, meaningless relationships with girls and stuff like that because my eyes are just so open that I no longer have the chance to be ignorant. And I wonder if anybody else feels that way. I know for sure people feel that way, but it's so weird because not many people like think like that. And I think I'm discussing this topic because I think in a weird way, even though I'm proud of my growth, like every day I'm growing, every day I'm evolving, even though it's not easy, there's still evolution, and that's all that matters. But I look back at the times when I was so utterly ignorant, but I look at it and I'm like, I'm so ignorant, but at that point, I feel like I was the most free. And I had like this sense of such a free spirit that nothing of the reality that I've come to be aware of could have like ever touched me back then because I couldn't even comprehend it. So when I was getting to know that girl, I didn't like even have the knowledge of what was right or what was wrong because that was my first time ever being in love. So to me, being ignorant is like the main factor of why I hold such nostalgia for that. Or if I was to date it back to when I was like a kid, certain things that my parents used to do for me, I can't even look at it the same now because I understand the reality of working and having a job and the sacrifices you have to make for a family. And I think this all ties into the concept of you have to be in the moment, like fully and utterly be in the moment. Because you can't hold on to those moments. You can't go back. But even though you can't always hold on to them, they're going to be with you forever. And you have to learn to live with your growth. Because to me, my problem is my growth is scary. Even though I'm proud of my growth, it is scary to me because I'm developing at like a rate where, like I had mentioned, ignorance is no longer an option because you've simply become too aware. Which I think is why I'm so drawn to this concept because I seek so deeply to be ignorant again in a way. But I acknowledge that evolution is just necessary and that a higher state of consciousness is what we should all strive for. And things like ignorance, yes, they're beautiful, but they're only beautiful because you simply don't know. And maybe instead having more knowledge and having a higher state of consciousness is the true freedom. But I feel like that's a whole nother conversation in and of itself, but still interesting nonetheless. But that's it. This video wasn't meant to be like anything crazy or whatever. I just like had this thought in my brain about ignorance is bliss for so long and I just wanted to share it. And not that I have a platform of some sort to like put this out there. I'm like, why not? So if you enjoyed this video and you're interested in seeing other types of content like this, feel free to subscribe because I will be posting more vids of this style, like talking about philosophies, ideologies, just ways of thinking. So thank you if you made it this far in the video and stay tuned for more.